Hey everyone, Meet Kevin here. Today we are going to be talking about Lucid Motors and the potential, or really hopeful at this point, merger with the SPAC ticker symbol CCIV. Lucid Motors is a stock that I have called the potential Neo to Tesla in China, except Lucid Motors has already a facility here in Arizona that's expected to manufacture up to 30,000 vehicles. Hopefully by the end of this year, they expect to deliver their first vehicles by June, July of this year. And to help them get there, they want to raise some capital by going public. And this might be an opportunity to start investing into a company that could be the next, well, Tesla. Who knows? We'll see. To help me figure this out, I am bringing on an amazingly deep diving creator, Alex Cutler. He's got some incredible insights, not only on Lucid, but a bunch of different EVs, the entire EV sector. And I've got a lot of questions for him. So if you're interested in EVs, making money from electric vehicle stocks, this is going to be one you want to watch all the way through. Alex, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to tab you in here. Welcome aboard. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Meet Kevin. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Alex Cutler, Alex Cutler 247 on Twitter as well as on YouTube. What I do is I am prior military, and while I was in the military, I was a meteorologist as well as data analyst. And what I did throughout that time frame helped me basically translate into researching as well as investing into the stock market. Now, what I do right now for Twitter is I do research, do deep dives into investor presentations as well as companies' financials, and make sure to see on my quick little guide on if that company is worth investing to. And I provide information to my following because truthfully, like Meet Kevin has said in the past, we have seen from Nikola and plenty of other EV plays that really don't stack up to the likes of Tesla and really just collapse. So we're trying to do that for the future, to invest into good companies that have the infrastructure, the leadership, the financials to make it happen. And we go through those guidelines and make sure to invest correctly.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so were you like a spy in the military? Is that what gave you all these tricks?
No. I was a meteorologist throughout my time frame for the military. What I do now is just I learned over time. I've been investing as well as trading for the last 2 years, and it's been I've been successful ever since. So.
Oh, nice. So Lucid, they've got this rumored SPAC here, partnership with CCIV. A lot of folks are wondering, look, Kevin, what if I invest in CCIV and this partnership doesn't happen? This is just a rumored partnership. We haven't even had a confirmed partnership yet, let alone the merger actually get voted on and happening. What are the risk factors to people investing in CCIV, and what makes you so confident that this merger is happening?
Well, right now, the risk factor is because everyone's on the minds that you don't have an LOI, a letter of intent, or a definitive agreement right now. It's all in negotiations, but in deep negotiations. The biggest thing is when it comes to CCIV as well as Churchill Capital is the fact that when you look into the potential investing into a SPAC, you look at the leadership, you look at the connections between the leadership to the potential company. And if you look at Churchill Capital 4 from Michael Klein to Andrew Liveris to Peggy Johnson to Alan Mulally, they're all connected to Saudi Arabia. They're connected to Lucid, and they have major connections between not only there, but obviously the Public Investment Health Fund, Public Investment Fund in Saudi Arabia. So you just look at the connections and you trust in the investigation as well as the research. And truthfully, you just buy. Right when we started doing the investing, I told my people about it around 1160, 1175, and we dropped all the DA as well as the research, and you just have confidence in the connection and the research.
Nice. Okay, got it. And so, 11. This was potentially even before the Bloomberg article. What got you in that early? Because I think the Bloomberg article brought this thing from like 13 up.
So actually, it was right after the Bloomberg call. So when the Bloomberg dropped on the terminal, it dropped all the way up to it popped up all the way to $13, $13.40, and then everyone started questioning it. Even I did. But the thing is that when it questioned, there was a massive sell-off, and it dropped all the way down to 11.20, 11.35, and then I started to dig deep into the company really quickly, and I saw Michael Klein, Andrew Liveris, and I knew that those were Andrew Liveris is the connection between Churchill Capital and Lucid. And then I said, okay, this is it. This is a big connection there. Definitely buy in because there's going to be a lot of connections there, and people are going to realize what this is. And then now we reached all the way up to $35, and the public continues to know it, and even more credible resources from the LA Times to Investor Place connecting the dots.
So you're lining up these dots, but what gave you the confidence to say this is a buy, right after that article came out, as opposed to, taking the time to maybe dig even deeper? Like, you must have seen some signs really early on to say, oh my gosh, Lucid CCAV, yep, going in. Tell me more about that. Like, what was that process like for you?
Well, the process for me, I have some followers. Well, I follow them as well. Is a SPAC Guru as well as Stock Talk Weekly, and there as well as SPAC Track. When a SPAC comes online and IPOs, you look at the leadership, you look at the connections, you look at the sector that they're looking at, and then you connect the dots kind of prior to that. And they said there was a rumor that was in December that this was a potential. And then when I looked into it even more, and I've been watching Lucid for the last 3 to 4 years myself. As soon as this came online that they were potentially talking, I was like, this can't be true. This is way too good of a lineup. So when I looked into it, I saw the Bloomberg terminal image and I saw that it was confirmed for that was not unedited. It was time to jump in because the leadership was already impacted. So it's been online since December of last year. And then obviously they were in talks of DirecTV, which they're not happening anymore. They're not the front runners. And then Lucid dropped. And this is the only EV play other than the likes of Arrival or Lion Electric that I really love right now. And this could be the next competitor of Tesla. I know that you're a big investor of Tesla and I believe in their infrastructure as well. But the thing is that this is the only American-based EV company that can really compete with Tesla.
And why do you think that is? I mean, if they're going to manufacture maybe up to 30,000 vehicles this year. How do we go from 30,000 vehicles in the United States to even getting remotely close to Fremont for Tesla, just one gigafactory that's probably going to be at 700,000 this year? How do we compare these two? I mean, that's 22, 23x what Lucid's doing. Do they even have a chance to break into this market?
So the big difference between Tesla as well as Lucid is that at the beginning, when Tesla came onto the market, they were focusing on the overall consumer. They were not just focusing on one pure market. What Lucid is they're going after the luxury brand. They're going after, because there's not really a company that's going straight for the luxury. Tesla's going for the overall consumer, where the prices go all the way up to $121,000, I believe, for the Tesla Model S. But the thing is that what Lucid's plan is to generate revenue and have one of the best, most high quality EV vehicles in the luxury brand to battle with the likes of Mercedes, BMW, and you name it. But what I'm saying is what makes Lucid different. It's not the fact that they're going to be a direct competitor at Tesla at the beginning. It's going to be 5 years down the road. What makes them different is that they already have the factory already built up, phase 1, in Casa Grande, Arizona, and which gives them capacity of 40,000 vehicles. Now they have a plan to go into complete phase 4, which is going to expand from a 1.1 million square feet to 5.1 million square feet as well in Casa Grande, which will give them the capacity of 400,000 vehicles per year, as well as they will be expanding internationally in Saudi Arabia in the near future. And we saw how quick they were to building their factory in Arizona. They built it in 9 months. I expect the Saudi Arabians to put even more money into them to make this happen, because when they invest into a company, they're not going to let it fall. So that's what makes them really truly different.
Yeah, and that makes me so interested, because the Saudi Arabian, the private investment fund, they've done some, pretty big moves. I mean, they at basically the bottom of the market, they were declaring, hey, we're going all into Carnival, and what's Carnival at now? Let's see, CCL. I was about to type CCIV too. I mean, they've easily doubled their money on Carnival since their investment here. But so they really come across as this aggressive fund. They're not doing hey, let's just park our money in AT&T, take our 6% dividend. These people, they're looking for 2-baggers, 3-baggers. They're going hardcore on investing here into these growth companies. So how much, what would you say to the American investor who says, Saudi Arabian private investment funds going into this? Like, what is this? Is this going to turn into a non-American company? Like, sure, they make these good bets, but what are they? Are they taking over America? Like, what skepticism?
You kind of cut out a little bit right there. But my take on that is it's going to remain an American company. But what makes this company different is the fact that, yes, they got some support from the Saudi Arabians, but again, they're an American company, but they're just going to be international. What they're going to be doing is that they're going to be supporting basically NEOM, the company that's going to be going for, hopefully you can see me. Is it frozen? I'm sorry. Can you guys see me? All right, so you guys can see me. I'm sorry. So what Meet Kevin asked was, was it going to be predominantly an American company, or was going to be transitioning into a Saudi Arabian company? What the fact is going to give it an international presence. So you're going to have the AMP1 in Casagran, as well as an AMP2 in Saudi Arabia. Now, what Peter Rawlinson, the CEO of Lucid, what their plan is for them to have that international presence to be able to meet the demand of the consumer. So it's going to be primarily headquartered in Newark, California, as well as Casagran, Arizona. But they're going to have those two factories to support the demand and international consumers and members of the company. So in Saudi Arabia, as well as in China, that's what their plan is to do. So that's what I expect to happen for them, is they're going to be basically an international company with American roots. So that's definitely what I expect, and they're going to be an international force for the future. So Saudi Arabians need everything on your end. Yes, great. So I'm looking at the people on the side, looking at it. Where are you good? Saudi Arabians need to transition from oil, which is exactly right. There's me, Kevin. How you doing?
Look at that. I even fixed the lag. So that's so funny. I have 2 ISPs at my house just for situations like this. And the Spectrum one sucks. Yeah. Wow. I switched to it yesterday because AT&T went down. But yeah, I'm like, my frame rate like this, like what's going on? Like, you know, it's kind of sad that here we are in 2021, and sometimes you just can't even rely on the internet sometimes. But anyway, so thank you for continuing the conversation there. You know, I see this comment here. Well, if you could give me the bottom line there on that Saudi Arabian company, I'm super curious too.
No problem. So the bottom line is that it's going to be an international company, but it's going to have its roots in America. They have their headquarters in Newark, California, with Casagran, Arizona, going to be their primary headquarters, and then they're going to have their international factories being built up in the next 8 years. First one's going to be in Saudi Arabia, and the next one's going to be in China. They're going to focus on building. Yeah, they're going to be building up in Saudi Arabia first, get that one up and running, and then they will expand as they generate more and more revenue. So, and then, like I'm saying, it's going to be an international force. What also helps them is that it's not necessarily they are following the blueprint of Tesla, where Tesla predominantly built up the charging station infrastructure. They are actually partnered with the likes of Electrify America to help generate revenue, as well as help their company charge their batteries quicker and faster, which I could see them potentially trying to absorb in the future, but I doubt it, because Electrify America is a company upon their own.
And Electrify America, they're the ones that are doing these, I think they're the 300 or 350 kilowatt hour stations, the super fast 20 minutes to 80% chargers. Is that right?
That is correct. That's correct. And that's what they're using to help their battery charge up within 20 minutes. So
that's incredible. Now, what do you think about that? I mean, I heard that, and the first thing I thought is, isn't that going to destroy the battery? I mean, you so much amperage that must be going into that battery. Can't be good for the darn thing. I mean, talk about heat, all the things that happen with battery tech. I hear with batteries, you should be charging them nice and slowly and chill. Even the iPhone now is doing this thing where if you plug it in and you're kind of that person that has it plugged in all day long, the iPhone tries to start learning your habit, and it'll purposely stop your charging at 80% until it thinks it needs you, or until you need it all day long or something like that. What's this 20-minute charging on a car going to do?
So it's going to be fine, because primarily before they became Lucid, they were named Ativa. So what Ativa was a battery technology company where they were utilized, back in 2014, 2016, they got a contract with the Formula E Racing. And when they did, they were let's do a backstory. Formula E Racing, prior to that time frame, could not finish a race without charging up or exchanging their batteries. Oh, wow. When Ativa came into play, they gave them this highly dense, high performance battery that super cools over time and allows them to perform in high speeds and keep their charge throughout the whole race time period. And when they utilize that, they're transitioning that technology into the Lucid Air, which it'll be able to hold high speeds, be able to supercharge quickly without it breaking down or potentially lighting on fire in the future. So it's the technology. They are primarily at the beginning a battery technology company, not a vehicle.
I mean, that's actually fascinating here. I'm just pulling up this Atevia Powers Season 6 of Formula E with spec battery pack of its own design. So did they hire, I mean, they must have hired their own battery engineers then. Is this like a potential quantum scape play with actually having a product, unlike QuantumScape?
So QuantumScape, there's a difference between QuantumScape as well as Ateva or Lucid. QuantumScape's going straight for solid state batteries, and they're having the backs of Bill Gates and Volkswagen to support them, but which are not going to be generating revenue or going into production until 2025. What Ateva is giving the most highly dense battery and allows them to have high performance for a long term, and it's almost the exact same type of batteries that Tesla has, but it's a little bit more high dense, more high charging, and the thing is that they're already generating revenue from that. So they're vertically integrated. They don't have to have any outsources except for potentially cells or some kind of rare earth minerals, but they're vertically integrated from bottom up, and which makes this truly special.
This is special. I mean, honestly, because I mean, all the other EVs, they rely on, okay, we'll just put a vehicle together, then we'll go get, Mobileye to do our autonomy, and then we'll go get, in China, for example, CATL to throw our batteries together. But you're right. I mean, here, Ateva is the technology wing of Lucid Motors, and then it goes on to say, in creating the battery pack, Ateva first leveraged its substantial proprietary database of battery cells with its engineers, identifying a cell with the perfect blend, and so on and so forth. And they even say here they created their battery management software entirely in-house, which I don't know how important the battery management system is, like if it makes a difference if you make that in-house versus just grabbing it off the shelf. Maybe you can comment on that. And ensures that the pack performs for the duration of the season with no significant degradation. That's interesting. Yeah, tell me more.
So, okay, the battery management system, that's a big thing to pay attention to. So what makes that very special is the fact that they have this kind of like a Lego brick kind of setup. So each brick is about like yay big. What they do is that if that overheats or somehow malfunctions, the battery management system turns that battery off. So it doesn't turn off the whole battery itself, just turns off that one little section. So that's very important. So if there is a cell that breaks or some kind of malfunction, they don't allow that to keep going where there is a potential overheat, which is smart.
And so that's almost kind of like in solar. I feel like you have these micro inverters where if there's one panel that's bad, you could actually have a management system, these inverters that can turn off individual solar panels, so that way the rest of the system can still function. Is that kind of similar to this battery management system then?
Very, very much so. Yes.
Okay. And so why do you think they would go to Saudi Arabia first and not try to get into the China or the European market where we're seeing these electric vehicle sales explode? Is it just sort of a condition of their partnership, or is this strategic?
It's both. It's strategic as well as they kind of had, that was part of the plan. It was part of negotiations in the contract for when the PIF, the Public Investment Funds, invested over $1 billion into the company. In that contract stated that they have to build a factory there, which works out because the Saudi Arabians are planning on building up the city Neom, and they want to have zero carbon emissions. So that's exactly the plan. And it kind of goes one on one, hand in hand. And then they will expand into China.
I understand. Okay, and did they do you know of any time frames for this Chinese expansion? It almost just seems like you need to get into your primary markets here sooner rather than later to not be left behind.
So from what I have been reading, what I've been hearing is the fact that they're going to be going over to Saudi Arabia. So once the negotiations are completed, which will be in this year, 2021, for the Saudi Arabian factory, they will begin production immediately. Now, what I've been hearing is the fact that they will be starting it within 2025 of starting into China. I understand that they are missing out on a major market, but that's just a projection time frame. They will be you never know, because Tesla said, and Tesla at times had, this is the timeline for their factory, but they started earlier. You never know.
Got it. So maybe if Lucid Motors, actually catches on over here in the United States and then potentially in Saudi Arabia, then maybe they might sort of get that open invite that Tesla got to China, because it seems like, even though I know we hear frequently that why would China ever promote an outside company, whether it's American or whatever else? It seems like China's really trying to do whatever they can to become the center of this EV revolution. They're pushing this almost harder than I feel like Biden is pushing this. What's your take on that?
I agree. They're actually them, and as well as Europe. Europe has been ahead of the game for the EV as well as overall green energy movement. Over the last 3 to 4 years, they have been, both Europe and Asia, they have been investing over $300 billion into the green energy infrastructure for not only EVs, but also hydrogen fuel cells. So they want this to happen. And we know that China has, as well as Japan, has accepted Tesla like one of their own. And there's a complete cult following for them, and rightfully so. You're looking at an amazing piece of technology there. So I think that they're welcoming and they're going to accept it. And the overall design for Lucid Motors really kind of works out for them, because people do Uber a lot over there, and there's not a lot of people in Japan that own a lot of cars. It's predominantly Uber or just manual walking, because it's such a densely populated city or overall
that
country.
Makes sense. I see. Okay. And then I did pull up, just in the meantime here, I always like looking at this relations between China, for example, and Saudi Arabia. Functional but not strategic. But what's interesting, and that's just the tagline, but what's interesting here is the biggest portion of their relationship has to do with oil. And that's something that China is trying to become less reliant on, obviously, by going into this EV direction. And so if Saudi Arabia is doing that as well, it seems like they're both going to be walking in the same direction here.
Yes, and that's a weird thing, because Saudi Arabia for the last overall century has been predominantly oil, and the Crown Prince has been pushing against that since he's been in, and he realizes that we're in a transition phase. So they're going to be coming into the play, and that's why they're building NEOM. And truthfully, oil is a dying breed, and that's why it's just EVs as well as hydrogen fuel cells is the future.
So tell me about hydrogen fuel cells. Is this like a pipe dream at this point? I mean, we don't have the stations. The Mirai sales suck. Is this just is this a pipe dream? Is this never going to happen, or is this something that it's going to happen? It's going to take until 2030 for us to actually see this mainstream.
It's going to take a very long time. And the thing is that I investigated substantially into Nikola, and I believed in the business strategy, but they completely lied throughout the whole period of time frame of that. So the business strategy is brilliant. They need to build the charging stations first, which the only thing that really is the issue is the infrastructure. There is no charging stations, fueling stations for hydrogen, which BP, British Petroleum, they do want to transition, as well as Shell want to transition into hydrogen. The only issue is that what companies will be able to support that. Right now, the only one that can support that is Plug Power. But Plug Power right now is just building the automotive technology, not the fuel cells. So it's going to take a while. I believe it's going to take maybe 5 more years to make that happen, but it just needs to have more investments and more time in building that infrastructure to make that support. But right now, there's not enough.
Because Plug's trying to Trojan horse into this with their forklifts, but that's been a money-losing business for them. Now they've got this partnership with Renault and France. I mean, 5 years, is the Apple car going to be out before that?
You never know. Really, the issue is with Plug Power is people are investing into it for the belief into the system, the belief in that it's going to be happening, because it is a good thought, and it really does make sense for long hauling and as well as for aviation purposes. And people use hydrogen in every other type of ways, and even in rocket launches, people use hydrogen. But it's only good for large hauls for long periods of time. If you're an everyday person just going from A and B, EV is the way to go. And so it's going to take a long time. I don't think that we're going to see hydrogen fuel cell really be a thing until 5 years from now.
Do you actually think people are going to get back into any hydrogen carrying vessel that flies? Not to mention any names.
It's going to take a lot of testing to prove it to people, because you're seeing what happens with like Virgin Galactic. Obviously, It's not EV. I'm just saying people are doing a lot of testing into the products as well as into the vehicle before. So the aircraft needs to be tested substantially to be able to earn the trust and have the regulations and have the limitations to make that happen. So for aviation wise, we're looking 10 years down the road. For automotive wise, most likely 5 years down the road.
Got it. What's your take on that? The aviation, and I want to get back to Lucid here, but I have to bring this up on these long range fuels and aviation. What's your take on these biofuels? Like Gevo, the stock skyrocketed over this idea that basically, Biden placed, I think, one of their board members or executives onto the science committee or whatever Biden's got going on. I hear this and I look into Gevo and I'm like, okay, so you've got a deal with Delta that's maybe going to cover 120 flights, over a period of a year, which seems like a drop in the bucket. Is sustainable fuel, bottom line question here, is sustainable fuel, these biofuels, is this just a marketing ploy to have the airline say, hey, look, we're doing the right thing, we're going sustainable, but it's way too expensive for mainstream? Or is there a real future in biofuels, or should we be paying attention to instead, no, for right now, the game is EVs, don't get distracted by all this other stuff?
It's a good plan, and they have renewable energy is something that needs to happen in order to replace petroleum, because there are certain systems that are built in that a lot of the higher capital that don't want to make this happen, doesn't want to change their technology, and the renewable energy that Gevo creates, it really doesn't hurt their system. They don't really need to change how they're set up currently, which sounds good. But the thing is that Gevo really hasn't generated that high amount of fuel for a long period of time. And they have a plan to make a zero emission, zero carbon factory or plant, but it's going to take a long time to make that happen, around 8 years from now.
Wow, yeah.
But again, I think it's more of a, hey, look what we're doing. Hopefully it works out.
Got it. Yeah, like the classic prospectus in a SPAC is almost like the most convincing sales pitch that you could ever look at for any company. But what's actually interesting here, going back to Lucid, is that we don't even have a slide deck. And here we are discussing it and investing it into it. Why? What are we doing? Are we making a mistake here? I mean, what if this doesn't happen?
I know that a lot of people have been asking that question. A lot of investors, even those that are listening right now, even yourself, there's a reason why you yourself, Kevin, you have invested over $500,000 into this. And the biggest thing is the fact of the infrastructure of the company. And then it comes to another one, is the connections. I've said this at the beginning of this video, is if you look into the SPAC, if you look into Churchill Capital 4, the leadership, the operating partners, this company from the top to the bottom was built to take this company public. From Michael Klein, who is a special advisor for the Public Investment Fund, as well as Andrew Livers, who's a special advisor to the Public Investment Fund, Peggy Johnson, and Alan Mulally, who has connections to not only Lucid, but as well as the Public Investment Fund. Everything from the top to bottom is Lucid and Public Investment Fund. You have to understand, that's what makes this different. Not any other SPAC has had this kind of a connection before.
So now, talk to me a little bit about this. My understanding is at $10 a share, we're looking at a $15 billion valuation. It's at $30 now. That and we don't know the exact details yet, but that puts us somewhere around a $45 billion valuation. That's more than XPeng, and that's I mean, it's about half of NIO, but that's a pretty big valuation for a company that hasn't sold a single car.
And that's understandable. But I'm gonna paraphrase our man Chamath, who was on CNBC, and basically ripping into the CNBC anchor, is this: any expert can say what their evaluation of a company is. Like, look at Tesla. Is there any reason for them to be this high? Really not, and truthfully not. But it's the viewpoint of the investor and the shareholder into the company. It's what we think the company should be valued at, not the so-called experts. So if the people believe that XPeng should be here or Lucid should be here, it's our choice. And tons of people have been pumping and hitting the ground saying that Tesla should not be $4,000, it needs to be $800. We saw with Andrew Citron, who tried to short him like a long time, and look what happened, just blew up in his face. It's the viewpoint
Yeah.
of the shareholder and the investor, not these so-called experts.
I mean, I'll tell you this, I definitely would not bet against any EV unless I had a suicide mission and short them. Definitely would not be doing that. So okay, Lucid then here. So you're very, very confident in it. What percentage of your portfolio are you putting in?
Well, I'm well diversified. I'm diversified across the board. I'm say that around 30% of it is into it because of how special it is, and then as soon as it hits like a price point of around, let's say, because of where it's currently at, as soon as a DA or an LOI drops, this thing can double overnight because there's so much of a public eye onto it. As soon as it hits that, and then upon merger time frame, because obviously there will be a pipe, you could scalp a little bit and then rotate into other investments because you never know. Maybe Rivian will go public. Highly doubtful, but you never know. Then you can rotate into other plays. But right now, I put in a good position, my full position at the $11 mark, the $11.30 mark.
Jeez.
And I've been enjoying it ever since. And you allow the growth, and then you scalp a little bit at the end and then have your plan. But I'm not in any shape or form going to be selling anytime soon. And I'm not going to sell out of my position fully because this is really something special and you should not miss out.
So you're saying you might take some of your gains after the announcement, but before the merger.
Right. Most likely, like, you'd be kind of an idiot not to take some of your profits if it was to hit like $80 or $100. Just take a little bit and then rotate it into another position. It's good to trust and believe in the company, but know your plan and keep to it. I obviously, people understand that people can't get married to a stock, and I got blind to Nikola myself, and then he made everyone look like a bunch of idiots, and look what happened. Just know your plan and stick to it, but understand when to take some minor profits and then rotate. But right now, this is not the time in my mind to take any profits because of what could potentially happen overnight. We saw with Microvast, people continuously asked, hey, when's the definitive agreement? When's the definitive agreement? When's the definitive agreement?
Yeah.
And then it dropped from $20 to all of a sudden $14, and then overnight it went to 22.
Boom. Wow.
Exactly.
Got it.
You can miss it.
I see. Okay. So you're in this for that big boom. Why not in it like some of those the Tesla folks that are like never sell, in it forever, that just like so married to it? Is it just to diversify and get into like the next SPAC, or is there something else?
So when it comes to it, is to diversify and balance it out. You want to have that good position into the electric vehicle, but there is also other things you should diversify in. What my portfolio is predominantly this: electric vehicles, electric vehicle batteries, cybersecurity, financial technology, and then real estate right now, because I'm basically eating up all the REITs as well as all these high-end dividends. And then once the economy recovers, you should be solid. But I'm not in any shape or form saying that you should put all your portfolio into one single stock, but trust what you have. And I understand that there's a cult following for Tesla. People say, well, I have 1,000 shares of it, I'm now a millionaire. I understand that, but what the thing is that you're going to miss out on other investments and diversifying. Right. You should always have dividends. You should have like your video that you have, you should have passive income rolling in. So that way you can grow your portfolio even more.
Got it. So is that why you're investing into the? I mean, you mentioned real estate REITs here. You're not going into these for growth. You're going into to take out a dividend. Why that over some of these big growths? I mean, if you can, you're triple here almost on Lucid. Why bother with a 6% dividend?
Because it's a smart play. Because if you're buying a stock currently right now, let's say IVR or MITT, where it's currently $30, if you have the amount of money, if you can get 1,000 shares of that, over time, you just set it and forget it, and you don't look at it. And then these quarterly dividends come out or annually dividends come out, you get it, and then you push it back into the sector, and you basically compound it. You get more and more revenue as everything comes out, and you're being a smart investor. So I understand people want to go into the sexy plays or going into SPACs or going into the next major EV play, but you should always be a smart investor. Have those major booms part of your portfolio, but also have a good built foundation of your portfolio.
Got it. Okay, so you mentioned cyber security, and I couldn't help but think about Palantir, and then we'll get back to some more Lucid here. But I got to ask you, what thoughts on Palantir? I mean, you mentioned you worked in the military. Tell us a little bit about this. It seems like a mystery.
I absolutely love Palantir. I actually called Palantir when it was currently at 950, and then it dropped to 890. And I said, "This is something special. People don't understand what they have. You should really eat up on this dip." And then boom, it jumped from 890 to all of a sudden $33 within a month. But what makes Palantir so special is their major involvement into the government. They've been going for 17 years. They've been involved majorly, and they got their credibility when they were tracking terrorists, specifically for Osama bin Laden. Their Gotham and Foundry program was utilized to find the location of Osama bin Laden, and they've been utilized not only in the government, which that's their bread and butter, but also in other industries as well. So in the commercial, I believe they're working with BP as well. So their artificial intelligence cybersecurity company helps them put A and B together, and then find C and D, and how basically gives accreditation into what their target is, and makes, obviously for military and government, but also more efficient, as well as makes industry more efficient, because they have partnership with BP as well as Ferrari. So more and more government contracts build up, and they're updating their programs. They're going to help overall everybody in the whole world be more efficient. And their main goal is this: to protect Western civilization and democracy, no matter what. And they have no biasness towards being a Republican or being a Democrat. They're just here to protect democracy, and that's what makes them so special.
Now, some people hear protect democracy, and then they get a little nervous that this means which is possible. They know all the people that we're talking to. They might not hear what we're saying on the phone or be able to read what's in our emails because of privacy laws, but they're able to take everything about our lives, pump it into like a Palantir, and it'll draw a complete map of all of our connections, and then they can make conclusions from that. If privacy becomes a more salient issue and starts cracking down more, isn't that a potential Palantir risk?
There is a minor risk, but Palantir and their company and their programs is an essential thing to protect the people. I know people that have utilized it and have seen it over in Iraq as well as Afghanistan, and they have helped not only protect not only attack the assailant, the terrorists, but as well as protect their people. So it is an important part to the system. And I think that, if there was a minor restriction to it, it might take a minor hit, but data is a big thing to invest into. Like we saw with Snowflake and many others, you should be in these kind of artificial intelligence plays, and artificial intelligence will just continue to grow.
Do you think that, Peter Thiel investing into Palantirs, is that a big game? Like, is that something people should look at and go, like, this should be pretty obvious, or is he just making an investment here?
It's pretty obvious.
Okay.
Him and everyone that was in it. It's not only just Peter Thiel. Let's look at the whole leadership overall. The leadership that was built up, and Alexander Karp is a brilliant, brilliant man. And he was smart because of what they do to get out of Silicon Valley and go into Denver, Colorado, because they were getting attacked. They were getting attacked substantially because of what they do, but they do it for the good of the people, and they have good intentions, no malcontent.
Silicon Valley, I like that. Okay, so that's great. Going to Lucid here. Shouldn't people be nervous about the fact that we haven't seen these vehicles on the road, and we don't even know who they're going to use for autonomy? I think that's a big question for me. I mean, anybody can slap a battery on a car, but what about the fact that we haven't heard a single thing about their autonomous features? What if they end up partnering with GM Cruise and it only works on mapped highways? What do we think?
So right now they back in 2017 they partnered with Mobileye to help develop their LiDAR technology, and they already had their technology that is built up. They're at level 3 right now, which is, I believe it's DreamSense, DriveSense. So they're still developing it. They're at level 3 right now. I just have to see. They're still testing it, but just hopefully when it comes to, and it's obviously upgradable. Is Tesla level 4 or is it level 3? I'm not sure.
Well, I guess it depends if you have the beta or not.
Well, the big thing is that the vehicle will have level 3 technology for autonomous upon production time period.
So, there's talk that maybe they're going to have a cabin camera, which Tesla has in the 3 and Y, but apparently doesn't use. Who knows? Maybe they're training algorithms in the background. We know that GM Cruise in their their Cadillacs or whatever, they actually require eye contact with the road. Do you think that eye contact with the road is a good thing? It gets you better Consumer Reports reviews, or is it a bad thing because you're potentially alienating an audience of 25 to 45-year-old dudes that are like, bro, the car's driving itself.
Really, it just depends on the consumer as well as the company's like viewpoint on that technology. Do they trust in their technology to protect as well as swerve or stop on the right time period? Obviously, Tesla, they trust in their technology and they allow people. I've literally driven by someone falling asleep while they're driving right now. I'm like, wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. It's just more of a reflection upon the company and their confidence into the technology. GM, I think that GM's very, very late into the situation. That's why their LiDAR technology, they probably need to have that eyesight. Hey, make sure to look at the road, stay awake. Where with Lucid, there's nothing that is stating that they need to have eyesight onto the road or they could be sleeping.
Got it. Now, I mean, this luxury market, a concern I have is that look at the S and X sales. I mean, you're talking a fraction of Tesla sales are going to S and X. What, 14, probably 15, 16,000 right now. Where they're selling over 130,000 of these 3s and Ys. Why the luxury market? Why not get your daily driver out there, get into this $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 car market?
Because it's already oversaturated right now with the likes of Tesla, NIO, XPeng, Li, as well as now we have General Motors that's going to be going at it. They need to generate revenue quickly, and they need to target a sector that is not overly saturated, which is the luxury car sector. Mercedes is right now, it's all a pipe dream that they want to go into EVs or hydrogen. Looking at it's all prototypes. They have nothing that could really be utilized by the everyday consumer. BMW is still building out. And I don't see any luxury vehicle that's really doing something special. And the only thing is that yes, there is Tesla luxury vehicles out there. The Tesla Model 3 can be pretty expensive, as well as the Tesla Model S. But they're trying to take a big piece of the pie at a larger scale. And I know that the likes of David Faber and many other comment and be like, we're literally selling a car for $169,000. Like, is this really a smart idea? Who's going to buy this? Well. Yeah. If you look at the specs of the vehicle, and all these people are buying Lambos, why not buy for something that's going to be able to last longer when everyone's transitioning to fossil fuels? Where this vehicle has over 1,000 horsepower, it has a 0 to 60 to 2.5 seconds faster than a Lambo, and has technology that will last for a long period of time and is upgradable. So they're going towards luxury.
I agree with you. I mean, the thing looks pretty nice. I'll pull it up here, but it looks nice. But then again, it also doesn't have that sports car-ish, maybe Lambo-ish feel. It feels like a
Toyota Camry.
That's a good way to put it. It's like a sleeked up Camry. Yeah, I like that analogy. Talk to me about that design idea here.
Well, it's a nice, slick little design. Obviously, they're not trying to be anything flashy. They're trying to basically make it as smooth and sleek as possible, and let the technology talk about itself instead of being like, look, I have doors that go up and are suicide doors or whatever, or what kind of gimmick. They're focusing purely on the technology that in itself, from acceleration, the chassis, the electric vehicle overall, as well as the seats. And the overall paints, they're so attention to the detail. They don't need to make something flashy for the people to be like, wow, that's really hot. It looks mad at me. I want it. No, they're going to let the inside and the technology do its work.
But now why this instead of the Model S Plaid? I mean, you've already got the supercharging network. You've got, so many people already testing out Tesla. This is going to be an unknown company, and people are going to be expected to throw $100,000, $150,000, $160,000 into this. Why would somebody risk that?
Because if you test out Lucid, if you test out, well, let's also pay attention to it. Peter Rawlinson was part of the Tesla Model S production as well as the development of it. I'm pretty sure that well, not pretty sure. I know that he utilized his knowledge from the Tesla Model S. He transitioned it to the Lucid Model Air. So they've been doing this for a while. They've been prototyping for a very long period of time. They've been comparing it to the Tesla Model S, and obviously they've been drag racing it in many other ways. But that's a big question. That's going to come up to the consumer itself. If you're going to just stick to Tesla, or you want to go into something special. Obviously, Tesla.
Are you in Tesla?
I do have a little position of Tesla into my larger portfolio, because you'd be an idiot not to have a position on that.
Is there any point that Tesla's going to get to where you just say, look, this price is ridiculous, we can't do it anymore? Or is Tesla going to be just one of those that, you know what, you always put your 5 to 10% in no matter what?
It's going to be 5 to 10% no matter what, because it's going to be basically do this. If we think about it, it's going to be the Amazon and Google of EVs for a very long time. They're the top tier. They have made a statement. And you say, like, let's say you have 50 shares, which is a substantial amount right now. Yeah. Who says they split again? It gives opportunities for other investors to buy in for. It's going to continue to generate more and more revenue for you, the major investor now. So
got it. So what happened today? There were some confusing rumors today. I mean, yesterday was phenomenal for this company. I mean, the stock skyrocketed. I mean, I think we were up, what, 27% at the close or something like that. But we've had a little bit of a rough day. Comment on this. Is there some rumor that was circulating that caused some potential issues here? Or why is this thing down about 5% today? Is there even a reason?
There is a reason. So there was a Bloomberg article that came up, said that there are not they're in talks, but a deal is not imminent, and it was provided by a guy named Walter Bloomberg on Twitter. And then he said something about DirecTV, and then there was a correction, and people freaked out and sold. And there's a lot of stop losses that were hit that caused it to drop. But again, you can look at it the bad side or the good side. The bad side that they're saying that they're still in talks, the deal is not imminent. Anyone can say that, but didn't they say like a couple weeks ago that they can neither confirm nor deny? Now they're confirming it.
Right. So who is this Walter Bloomberg guy? Is he even related to the Bloomberg, the company? I mean, it looks like this. He's using, who's DJ? Is that Dow Jones as a source, or who is this dude?
So Walter Bloomberg, it seems to me that what he is utilized, he's just basically uses like auto-generated posts, and then just post whatever comes up. And sometimes he posts incorrectly, but he has posted stuff about, like, even this guy that had zero credibility, saying that the merger is going to be delayed for no reason and had no credibility whatsoever. He posted about it, and then the guy came out and apologized for what he posted. So
interesting. Okay. So we're not necessarily getting citations here. Wherever he's getting these headlines from, we don't know, but he's got some kind of algorithm running that's feeding headlines. But when we dive into this deeper, is there a possibility that CCAV is going to become DirecTV? I mean, I don't want DirecTV.
No. So there was an article that came out a couple of weeks ago that he posted as well, and many others that posted. It came out on Reuters. So what was said is that CCIV is not the top guy talking to DirecTV anymore. It's a private equity firm named TPG that's in exclusive talks with DirecTV. So Churchill Capital is not in the running for them anymore.
I see. Okay, so there were some original talks maybe a while ago here about this potential happening. November 5, Klein's Churchill IV. This is a Seeking Alpha here. SPAC eyes bid for AT&T's DirecTV, and that was back in November. So why would this rumor come up? Like, why if this was built for Lucid, why was this even a suggestion?
Because at that time period, the leadership really they weren't sure if they wanted to go public or not. And really, the SPAC themselves, Michael Klein and the leadership, they have a choice to take a company public or not. And they could just build another SPAC. But really, they declined it and they moved on. And then there could be some kind of insider talks from the Public Investment Fund, as well as Michael Klein and the rest of the Churchill Capital team, saying, hey, we want to go public. Stop what you're saying. Just remove from the conversation and let's move on. So it's really, I think they were just talking, trying to see, hey, this is really an option or whatever.
Right, right. And now let's see here. The author on that, the original CCIV AT&T DirecTV talk here were Nabila, Liana, and Scott. Which one of the reasons I mentioned these names is because this January 11th article was popularized because of its connection to Edward Ludlow, who was none of the authors are the same between these two articles, so totally different authors. Isn't there some kind of connection between this Edward guy over at Bloomberg and CCIV?
Yes, absolutely. So, well, predominantly he has a connection to Lucid. So, yeah, he's been covering Lucid for a long couple of years, just as Russ Mitchell is. So, what Edward Ludlow does, Edward Ludlow, he's had exclusive access to the Lucid factory in Newark, California, and actually got to be in one of their prototypes. What makes Ed Ludlow such a big issue is the fact of the matter of this is that he has covered, as well as Jillian. When they say something that is in talks or in rumors, usually between 20 to 30 business days of rumors or in talks, there is an agreement, usually in time frame. This exact same thing happened to GIC, Lightning Motors, or NGA, which is Lightning Electric, the most recent ones. And then 20 to 30 business days, boom, you got yourself an agreement. Exact same thing happened to PSAC and Faraday Future. 17 days later, you got yourself an agreement. Now, this SPAC in this agreement has been obviously in the public side for a very long period of time, and not a lot of retail investors have the patience to hold and just enjoy what they have, especially with the cushion that a lot of them have had. But if you trust in the research and you trust in the connection that Ludlow has, it's going to happen. And then there's been some sayings from that stating that Saudi Arabians wanted to leak this out just to see what the people thought. Let's see evaluation. Like, hey, do I really want to go for 15 billion or can I go for 30 billion? That's
interesting. Say it's leak something over to Bloomberg, have them run a story, and now we can get a little more market research. It's kind of like coming up with your own valuation. Then, well, let's test our theory. That's brilliant.
Well, it worked. So, hey, Michael Klein, hey, we need to up it a little bit more there, man.
I love it. Okay, so. What's realistic? When are we going to see these cars on the road? I hear talk about June. Is that realistic? Or are they going to get like 10 out? Is this going to be like the Cybertruck where it's like, oh yeah, we'll get a couple out if we're lucky at the end of this year, and maybe we'll start producing more next year?
It's very realistic. Their factory is already up and running and built. So phase one, they already have everything automotive as well as autonomous robotics in there. It's already up and building, already up and running. The painting facility is already built up. So they have the capacity to support over 40,000 vehicles right now. So they'll be fine.
Got it. What's your take then comparing these folks to NIO? I mean, NIO's got some creative things in competing with Tesla. They've got the battery swapping, putting the upgradable batteries in the future, assuming they're always going to have that same form factor. You can buy the car without the battery, and now it's a cheaper car to buy, and you just rent the battery basically. Why aren't we seeing more innovative things like that here in America? Or is that just not the future?
So right now, exchanging out batteries is not really the future, but what NIO is what's making NIO so special right now is the fact that they're going to be introducing the solid state battery here very soon. So that's great. And then also in the same state is that NIO is not pumping out a lot of numbers. This is why NIO is the major connection and evaluating Lucid, is that NIO's only pumping out around 45,000 to around 55,000 vehicles annually, which is a good valuation comparison to Lucid, because Lucid is going to be coming out of the gates 40,000, and you can really say A to B, they're really close to each other. But I don't think that exchanging out batteries is the future. I know it kind of went off a little tangent there, but I don't think exchanging out batteries and that technology is really something needed.
And why is that? I mean, it seems like something that's so useful for getting people to get over this fear of having batteries. Like, hey, well, I don't own the battery. I own the car, but maybe you can own the car longer because you're just swapping the batteries. You don't have to worry about replacing this battery at some point in the future. And in theory, you don't even have to baby or pamper the battery because it's not your battery. You could treat it like crap if you wanted to. Isn't that an advantage to people?
Yes, but people don't really want to have to go in and then exchange their batteries. Like you don't see Tesla doesn't see a reason for this. Then why should anybody else? It's like a phone. Like you're not going to want to go out and exchange your battery. That's just a hassle for you. Why not put in a battery that's sustainable and efficient that can handle long periods of times of charging as well as high performance, and then it can last a long period of time without any degradation. That's why Tesla is trying to upgrade their EV battery technology, and that's why Lucid is predominantly a battery technology at the beginning. Maybe and NIO was not.
I see, right? Because NIO's doesn't have their own battery tech that I'm aware of. So is that because are Lucid and Tesla just saying, look, we're not going to focus on swapping? That's like trying to solve a problem with a bandage. We're just going to go for really good batteries that last a long time and that charge really quickly. Is that more their direction?
That's more their direction. They wanted to have something charge quickly, be efficient, and last longer.
Got it. And now and I want to clarify, I don't believe NIO has their battery technology now, but they're coming out with this like partial potential solid state battery in the future. Is this actually, or do you know, is this actually NIO engineers, or is this some partnership with another manufacturing plant? I mean, I'm sure it is, but who's doing this solid state battery or partial solid state battery for NIO? Is this going to be something that other car companies have access to in China? And is this hype around NIO, is that misplaced?
So from what I've read, they went into partnership to develop this kind of technology. Not quantum. Wow, I was thinking QuantumScape when I think it's solid state battery. Solid state battery is absolutely positively the future. Like in order to have a battery that takes up a very small space as well as last a long period of time, solid state batteries is needed. They're all in prototype phase right now, which basically people are investing for that current valuation for that kind of technology to come. I don't see anybody else really going for it except for QuantumScape. There is a pipe dream for a quantum battery, but that'll take a long period of time. But solid state batteries, people are investing into that, but it's going to take a long period of time for that to come into fruition.
Got it. Do you have any positions in NIO, and what about these Chinese manufacturers? I mean, is one better than the other? NIO, XPeng, Li Auto, anything?
I do have position into BYDDF as well as BYDDY. I do have a position, a minor position into NIO, but nothing really substantial because I'm huge into EV. I'm not touching anything with Li. Li is way too at the beginning stages, and XPeng, I'm not really touching them. 1 second, I need to go grab my battery for my charger for my phone. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it. We'll keep chatting here. No, take your time. Yeah, so I mean, this is really interesting. So CCIV, yeah, it is a company that I've got just over $500,000 into, that I invested into, and was one that I've been talking to course members about, being excited about. Obviously, it's up from where we've all invested. Alex invested very early. Many of us who are watching probably got in somewhere around $18, $19, maybe even a little bit before. The interesting thing about the SPACs, though, is I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, like there will be a second company that competes with Tesla. There's always going to be a number 2 and a number 3. But what I personally wonder is how far apart is that number 2 spot going to be from the number 1 spot? And so part of me just wonders, should we as potential EV buyers and EV shoppers, is it just better to just focus on Tesla? Why bother with any of these other EVs? Why bother with the the 3-wheel like the Arcimoto or these other these other consumer vehicle specs? Why do we even give them the light of day? Is it just to ride the SPAC and pull some profit off the hype, or are these actually real companies that we believe are going to take off? And I think those are important questions to ask as an investor. I mean, certainly as a social investment, investing in SPACs seems to be just incredibly profitable in the short term if you can time it well. And they seem to follow this similar pattern, right? You get this run up on rumors, you get a run up on an announcement, and then sometimes you get a little bit of a sell off after or before a merger. So it makes you wonder: are SPACs just spectacular because they're great, or are they an opportunity to really make money long term? What do you think, Alex? I'm going to bring you back in here.
Are they spectacular?
Yeah.
So what I believe this, when I look into a SPAC, and not only just the EV battery company, EV companies or EV battery companies or financial technology companies. What a SPAC allows someone to be in is to be in basically the ground floor of a company, kind of like be a part of the IPO of a company. So if you really believe in the company like SoFi or PaySafe or Microvast or let's say Arrival or obviously now Lucid, you could be at that ground floor and be a part of something that's truly special because as well as QuantumScape. QuantumScape went all the way up to $100. But know your exit plan. Understand the difference between when they generate revenue or not. When you're in a pre-rev company and it jumps up all the way up to $50 or let's say $100, you may want to get out. Like when QuantumScape went all the way up to $113 and I got out at $70, I was like, why is this high? Know your plan and get out. But SPACs are something special. You should understand that if you believe in the company and you've been waiting for this company, always have a position, but know when to take some profits and rotate and just balance out your whole portfolio.
But you're, in your opinion, that time's not now because you're thinking, hey, look, this merger could be announced any day. And on that merger, you think there's going to be a big push, or is that push already priced in?
There'll be a bigger push. We saw that. So there's a mixture on both. People think that it's baked in, people that are not like me. I don't think that it is because people are waiting to buy more into it, and where it'll cause another spike up to around $50 to $60, where people then will take profits and it could push it back down to $45 to $50, providing another potential push. Because every SPAC does a bullish cup and handle, where it will spike up substantially to $60, $45, come back down to consolidation around $40, and then remain there for the next two months until it runs up to its closing time frame or close a merger, which for this Lucid would be most likely end of April, early May time frame, and then we'll spike up again and double where it was currently at. So we could see $30, $35 now, jump up to $50, $60, where you could scalp out a little bit if you wanted then, and then it could come back down to $45, go into consolidation, and then spike up again to $65, $70 upon closure or merger. It's just more of how you want to play this. That's your choice. Exact same thing happened to the likes of Nikola, Hyliion, QuantumScape. Every single SPAC does the bullish cup and handle. So
got it. I mean, Scamala is not one that we're super excited about, I think, talking about. But you hit on Hyliion. Does Hyliion have a future?
Hyliion does have a future, but it's going to take a long time to go there. And I know a lot of people love Hyliion, but they don't have the infrastructure to support their demand. I know people are saying, but we have this amount of sales. I'm like, Nikola had this amount of sales, but where's their infrastructure? They don't have the factory. They don't have anything that could support this. That's what makes all these previous EV companies pretty much dive after SPAC closure, because people are going to then realize, and all the analysts are going to be like, well, they don't have a factory. They're all focusing on OEMs, third-party technology continuously. Where's their margins for revenue is going to be minimal at best. That's why we saw Fisker, Hyliion, Nikola. Well, Nikola had their stupid Badger thing go on, and then many others just drop like a rock. But this one, it'll drop a little bit after merger closer because people want to take the profits, and then they'll have more advertising as well as marketing, which will cause it to spike again.
Got it. So why, I do wonder, I don't know if you heard while you were gone, I don't think you did. Why not just plow this all into Tesla and take the stress away?
Because you can miss out on being in a good position. I know that Tesla is like that nice little blanket that makes you feel all good inside and understand. I get it. It's something familiar. But remember at the beginning where Tesla was building up their infrastructure, they were sitting around $25, $30, and then slowly started to push up. And then you have their factory built up more, and they're expanding, and all of a sudden it's $100. Why not hold your position and then let it grow to continuously? Have patience and trust in that. Like, there's people nowadays, especially the retail investor, they're all about the profits. They only want the profits. They want it now. I want my money. I'm like, well, okay. Well, when you do have your money and you sell now, you guess what you're going to be paying? Higher taxes on your capital gains. Why not wait until your tax rate will drop, and then you could potentially take some profits there? Just
save another 15% right there. Yeah,
exactly. Have trust in your investment, and then just don't get out of your position fully. Know your limits. Know your plan. Let's say you buy 2,000 shares, and then it grows. Oh, it just hit $100. Oh, I have $200,000 at my disposal. I'll sell 500 and then I utilize that for other ones. Just have a
Got
plan,
it.
but just know that you have something special, kind of like Tesla-esque at the beginning. It'll slowly grow over time.
What's your research process on these? Like, how are you finding, learning about the Lucid before it's going spectacular? I mean, I know we heard a lot of excitement about Lucid in September, gaining popularity, but there's nothing suggesting that this thing would go public at that early on. Is it just something that you think there's a good chance it's going to happen, so you keep an eye on it more, or so you're ready when the day comes, or what's your take?
Well, in the beginning of this video, I stated that you look when a new SPAC comes out, you go and look into the leadership, look into the CEO, you look into the operating partners, you see their backgrounds, you see their connections. Then you look at the companies that they're partnered or connected with, and you look at the potential companies that want to go public. Like you look at a private equity website, and you look at them. Okay, where they're at, where their connections. Okay, with the process of funding, what funding round are they on? Are they late? Okay, so they want to go public pretty quickly. Okay, and then we look at Lucid. Lucid was already past one of the funding rounds. They just got funding from the PIF about a year ago.
Right.
They want to be public, and that's kind of where you go into the valuation. You look at 1 to 2. You kind of like just all the connections from the leadership to the company, and look at the company status upon them, and look at where they're at in funding rounds.
Wow. Got it. So, as an investor now, how important is it to really diversify into like the Googles and the Apples and maybe some of the more cash plays versus just going heavy here into these EVs? I mean, is the EV market just a bubble, or is this just really the next big thing?
It's absolutely the next big thing, because like we said, is that the whole globe, well, Biden just put in $2 trillion into green energy play, as well as to just basically rechange the whole infrastructure of energy. And we saw $300 billion by China, well, not China, Asia, as well as Europe, to build up the electric charging stations as well as hydrogen stations. This is a transition that the whole globe wants to happen, and EV plays will be there for the future. So you're going into a technology that is a demand. So it's smart to invest now into a technology that is predominantly essential.
Got it. So we keep hearing all these targets about 2035. We're going to have EVs mainstream 2035. There won't be gas vehicles anymore. I mean, is that just is that a pipe dream, or is that no? That's actually going to happen.
What's the question? I kind of went in and out.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, it just. The government, certain states already like California, Jersey, have this goal of no more gas-powered vehicle sales by 2035. Is that realistic? 15 years? Are we actually convince our entire society to only buy new electric vehicles rather than gas-powered cars?
I think it's going to have a big push against it because of how much America I don't think everyone has the money to pay for that. But it depends on the companies. Can the companies support that kind of transition? Like Tesla, they are trying to make a vehicle that costs the equivalent around $30,000 or less. Am I wrong?
That's a good point. So I mean, they're now this $25,000 car that Tesla's talking about, do you think they're going to ruin their margins? Or are they just going to keep cutting prices over here? And is that why Lucid's going with this higher end?
What Tesla? Okay, so it's not going to affect their margin because they're expanding and they're going to have a higher production value. That's why they have that's why they're building their gigafactory in Fremont, as well as in Houston, Germany. They're having and expanding their factories. So and building such a great vehicle and such a high amount will allow them to keep their margins. So that's why they can push their price point a little bit lower and to be able to give the average Joe purchase it. So I only have time for one more question before I have to leave. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, well then let's leave it up on, what's your limit on purchasing? Like at what price do you say I'm holding? I'm not buying anymore?
With SPACs, every single SPAC has its own specific amount of characteristics. Like EV plays, I wouldn't really buy more on an EV play if it went above $35, or really depends on the DA and the LOI timeframe. If the DA and the LOI timeframe drops and then all of a sudden you see its maximum spike, that's where your limit is. That's where, hey, I'm not touching that there. And then once it goes into consolidation, then you'll have a pretty good understanding of, hey, this is probably where I should load up. I think that upon initial announcement of in talks is a good time to add a decent percentage of your holding, and then you can add as it continues to grow. But on a major spike and pre-DA or an LOI, you should really consider yourself, is it worth my risk? In certain ways.
If you can quickly explain LOI and what people want to look for.
What an LOI is a letter of intent, and a DA is a definitive agreement. And on LOI, there's usually a massive spike upon it, just like Microvast. With when there was an LOI drop, it went all the way up to $20, and then it dropped back down because people wanted the definitive agreement. Then it came back down to consolidation. So it's your choice. It's your choice of, hey, am I able to risk my money to drop a little bit and be comfortable on a minor loss, or just continues to build up your portfolio throughout the whole time period of that SPAC.
Got it. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, I am on YouTube, Alex Hitler 247, as well as Twitter, Alex Hitler 247. I appreciate everyone that's listening, and I thank you very much, Meet Kevin, for having me here. And I look forward to doing it again sometime in the near future.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Alex, and we will see you again in the future.
Take care, bud. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. All right, everyone, there you go. Thank you so much for tuning into this. Make sure to get your free $30 with M1 Finance. Go to metkevin.com/M1. You will get $30 entirely for free when you deposit $100. Thank you so very much, folks. We will be back more later. Bye.